Ranking my most anticipated superhero movies releasing in the next couple of years. Now, as you know, an absolute ton of superhero films are releasing in this time frame. I've narrowed it down to the six I think can be truly all-time great superhero films. At number six, I have the MCU's Fantastic Four. This is going to be releasing next year, and I absolutely love the cast and the entire idea behind this movie. It's going to be set in a 1960s retro New York in a different universe, meaning they shouldn't really be connected to the rest of the MCU. There's going to be no pressure for, oh, what cameos are in it or how does it connect to these previous movies. They can just tell a great standalone movie about these other Fantastic Four characters, and these are generally some of the best Marvel characters of all time that have really just never gotten a great film. I cannot wait to see what they do with this thing. I think the casting is incredible. Pedro Pascal is one of my favorite working actors today, and the rest of the cast around him is just incredible. I know some people really hated this first look at the uniforms we had of Joseph Quinn wearing this thing. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of love how tacky and cheesy this thing looks. The movie does not seem like it's afraid to build its own very unique style in this, like I said, 1960s retro but still futuristic New York. Even stuff like the Fantastic car that they revealed at Comic-Con just gets me more hype because you can tell they're putting a lot of love and details into this film. It's gonna feel so just unique, and I think it can truly be something special. We can also bet that Doctor Doom is going to appear either as a villain in this movie or in the post-credit scene, because this universe is most likely where Doomsday and Secret Wars are going to take place. At number five, I have James Gunn's Superman. We know this thing's going to be kicking off his new DCU, and the stakes are at an all-time high. This thing pretty much needs to be a smash hit to set that universe off in the right direction, and honestly, I have so much faith in James Gunn to do this. I think the Suicide Squad movie is incredible, and he did that with DC. Also, just rewatching all the Guardians in the last couple weeks, he just has so much style in his movies. We all know about James Gunn's humor, and his movies are absolutely hilarious in my opinion, but what really makes his movies work is that he makes you care about this group of characters, and the emotional moments hit so much harder. There's just so much heart put into these films, and that's exactly what Superman needs. But when at first we were getting all these different reveals of all these different actors being confirmed as different characters to be in this movie, as different just heroes and side characters, I was like, this thing might be a little overstuffed for the first DCU film. How are all these characters really going to fit into this, or is it just going to be like winking at the audience like, hey, look at this person from the comic? But I'm honestly not really that worried about it anymore, because James Gunn has proven he's so good with ensemble cast. I think if he can build up a really lovable group of supporting characters around Superman, or a really great group of antagonists and villains around him, that's what's going to make this movie good, and that's what's going to make it have so much heart, is all the different elements around Superman. I'm not worried that he can get a good portrayal of Superman. He has so much love for the character. It's going to be 10 times better than whatever Zack Snyder was doing with it. I truly think this can be an amazing start for the DCU, but maybe you think differently. Let me know in the comments below. I mean, I know it's something relatively small in the grand scheme of a movie, but just look at how incredible this suit looks from the set photos we got. Tell me this does not give you faith in the movie. I know it sounds silly to say that about a suit, but this thing just looks so clean. At number four, I'm kind of cheating a little bit. I'm going to put Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars together in this list, because we kind of know this is going to be like Infinity War and Endgame, really just one story cut in half. They're going for that same kind of cliffhanger ending again at the end of Doomsday. I'm very sure about it. I'm personally more excited for Avengers Doomsday. I think the potential of like a solo Doctor Doom film and then him bringing everyone into his universe can be absolutely incredible. Then setting us up for Secret Wars, which I just hope can be a coherent movie. I'm worried it's just going to be so many different cameos from so many different decades of characters and history of Marvel movies that it's going to feel like a mess, but I am coming around and being way more excited about this movie. There's just some really amazing things they can do with the RDJ casting as Doom. It could go terribly too, but just have him in this alternate universe. Maybe his parents get killed by the Winter Soldier and then he gets adopted by Cynthia Von Doom or something. Boom, you've explained it away and you can have a great new take on this character. Like, yes, if his mask gets broken in either of these movies and like SpiderMan or any of the older Avengers that are still around see him, and it's gonna be like, oh my god, that's Tony, and oh no, I'm Doctor Doom. Like, yes, it sounds cheesy in execution, but listen, I'm a fan of these movies. I've been watching the MCU since it started and I was a little kid. The moment's gonna hit for me. I'm gonna be cheering in the theater. I know myself, so I can't lie. I am excited about this. I understand why some people aren't though. At number three, I have Spider-Man 4. My only concern about this is that Sony takes over, tries to make this another multiversal event, throwing in like Toby and Andrew again for some reason, or God forbid, they throw in their Morbius and Venom and all those super stupid movies that they've been building their villain universe of into this MCU. That would be a disaster, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Kevin Feige is going to put his foot down and be like, hey, let us just make a good story. At the end of No Way Home, we are now set up for a perfect Spider-Man, just grounded, standalone story. Maybe we can finally get the Scorpion to be like a villain or antagonist in this film. I think that would be really good, since we had him teased in Homecoming, and I've never seen him since. Would also love to see Kingpin maybe pulling the strings behind the scenes or something, or he could be a main villain in this film too, but I think they're going to try to build him up as more of like a street level Avengers event. Rumors have been swirling that Sydney Sweeney has been offered the role of Black Cat for Spider-Man 4, and if this is true, I do think this would be great, not just because Sydney Sweeney is obviously very attractive as Black Cat needs to be, but because now Tom is by himself, he's missing MJ, this is the perfect time to have Black Cat sweep in, kind of seduce Spider-Man, lure him in maybe to some dangerous situations, maybe she's working for Kingpin or something. There's just so much potential we can do with this, kind of aging it up a little bit with the MCU fan base at the same time. I really hope she's in this movie. Like I said, her and Kingpin would be perfect. Number 2, hold on to your hats. I know this has been like my number 1 most anticipated for forever since Across the Spider-Verse came out, but I have it at number 2 now, but I'm still super hyped for, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. I mean, we're set up for just absolute greatness in this movie. Obviously, the Spot is going to be an absolute menace now, fully powered up, and Miles trying to stop him from killing his father. Who knows what's going to happen with that? I think Rio's going to end up dying, though. Before we get to any of that, Miles is going to have to fight possibly his own Prowler self in a different universe to be able to get back to his main universe, which is just going to be absolutely peak. Also going to really focus back in on that original group of different Spider-Man variants from the first movie with Gwen's band that she formed at the end of the team, which I'm honestly super excited to see since we barely got any of like Spider-Man Noir or Spider-Pig, Spider-Ham, I don't know why I call them Pig. And as long as they don't mess up this movie, it's pretty much going to seal the Spider-Verse films as one of the greatest movie trilogies ever created, and I truly think they're going to do it. My number 1 is now The Batman Part 2. Maybe recency bias since I just rewatched The Batman for the first time since like 2022 when it came out last night, but I absolutely love this thing even more than I did the first time, and I still thought it was a perfect 10 out of 10 back then. I just love this world and this version of Gotham City that Matt Reeves has built up so much. Like, I was just enjoying every single millisecond being in this world, and I honestly cannot wait to see what he does with the second one. I really hope it's taking place around Christmas time, maybe some Mr. Freeze action in this movie. You don't do the Christmas time thing. Some other characters I'd really like to see would be like Poison Ivy. I feel like she is really due for a good live action interpretation besides whatever she got back in those old Batman movies. I would also like to see Clayface, Hush, any of those villains. Just pick like any 2 of the ones I listed and I'll be super happy with this thing. I'm also hoping that The Batman Part 2 introduces Dick Grayson as Robin in this movie, because we've really shied away from him in these later Batman adaptations. Obviously, like the Dark Knight trilogy kind of just shied away from the character, besides at the very end they just shoehorn him in. I think this is a perfect opportunity to introduce him. The thing I don't want to happen in this movie is Barry Keoghan's Joker to show up as the main villain in this one. I'm so sick of the Joker. We've just been beat over the head with his character lately, and his scene with the Riddler in the first Batman movie, it's the one scene in that movie that I don't like because it just completely takes me out of it. It feels studio mandated. They're like, hey, the people like the Joker, put him in this film some way, shape, or form. I hope he just stays behind the scenes a little bit more, especially because it felt like he was doing a Heath Ledger impression. I honestly hope we get back to like the Jack Nicholson type of Joker if we do have him in these movies. That was a lot. Let me know your most anticipated superhero movies in the comments below.